Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of XRP, taking a look at what has been going on most recently and what we would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button, I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord guys, check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7, it's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? It's the first place that we actually go to notify you of the ins and the outs of everything that is going on in the crypto space. So keep a finger on the pulse of crypto by joining us down in our Discord server. In this video, I will be applying Elliott wave theory, which can seem overly complicated at times, but actually it isn't that complicated. It is reasonably simple once you know what to look out for. I have created a 21-part video course linked in the description below at thecheekyschool.com. We're running 50% off until the 22nd of January, so take advantage of that if you want to know a little bit more about Elliott wave theory and follow along in these videos in a little bit more detail. Okay, let's jump on down into XRP here, paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source. You can see that we have this fifth wave high point just up here. Okay, and this actually comes from a kind of bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of structure, okay, all of which is wrapped inside this C wave just over here. Now there is some good news, okay, and the good news at the moment is that it's looking like 30 cent down here is actually a pretty reasonable low level. It is an area that looks like it might be holding for a little while just yet, which is fantastic because I completely lucked out by having a buy order at 30 cents. So for myself, I'm thrilled. But at some point I do think this is probably going to have to come down a little bit lower, but we will see how kind of things develop and how they kind of pass and all that kind of stuff. So for now, I think it's a good low point. It's going to hold for a little while. Hopefully, you know, that is going to, you know, be done and we don't have to come back down here. But, you know, I'm going to let the data dictate what happens here. So for now, this looks like a pretty strong low point. Now up here, this high, this is a weak high, so I expect us to still come up a little bit higher. We do have this large demand area. You can kind of see, also supply area. We can kind of see that we kind of got rejected just before we went into this area here. And you can argue that actually, yeah, we could probably lower our demand area down just a fraction, probably more towards here. And you can again start to see that it lines up a little bit better there. Okay, so it's interesting. Now, with the current structure that is going on, okay, using Elliott wave theory here, we can kind of see that we ended up in 5 waves up here. We find this one, so I'm just going to come in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, I do not like this wave 1. I think it's an awful variation, but it is what it is, and we can see a few interesting things. Let's actually throw this to the immediate there. And we can see that we came down, and we have this wick here coming back into our previous supply area that has gone and turned into a demand area. Okay, so we can see that right in here. But this wick here is very important because it crosses the peak up here. Okay, which basically means this cannot be considered a wave 4. Okay, it would invalidate that. So under the kind of structure here, in an ideal world, many people were thinking maybe we'd have a wave 4 and go up into a wave 5, right? Because, you know, bullishness and all that kind of stuff. And you'd have something like that, but that's not valid. So you can't do this. So this is not a valid count. The only way to do that would be to have it as a diagonal and an ending diagonal. And I don't think you actually can do that within the wave 3 scenario. So yeah, I think it's probably better to kind of think of it more like this and then address what is going on here. So let's actually jump into that. What is going on? Well, we do have a pretty clear drop down into this low point. Let me actually just move that across and pull that there. Okay, we then bounced up. We came up to this high just here. And it tells us that 36.61 would be our estimated low point here on a 3-wave structure. Okay, so it would come down from this peak of wave 5 down into this low of wave 1A, up into a wave B, and down into a wave C. Okay, now the interesting thing is this wave C is below our 200 hourly EMA. It's not the end of the world. We usually dance around this EMA a lot anyway, so losing it could be interesting. Now we do have a real interesting structure here. I think it's a bit too much to think of this as a 5-wave drop now. I was considering it as a 5-wave drop at one point, specifically when we had this big red candle, but we moved up and then just didn't really do too much. So I don't think it's a 5-wave drop here. I think it's just a 3-wave drop. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes. The minimum expectation I would have is a double bottom down here at 37.66. That would be my minimum expectation on this. The C wave does have to come down to at least this level, unless of course we end in a running flat scenario. But in the running flat scenario, that B wave would of course have had to have gone up at higher than origin. So minimum expectation 37.66, maximum expectation would be down here at 36.61. Okay, I say maximum, it's not really the maximum, but you know, the typical kind of area that you go to. The maximum could actually be quite significantly deeper, but we won't go into that in this particular video. Now essentially what we have got going on our stochastic RSIs actually give us a little bit more ground for being optimistic about the price action of XRP, right? We can see that we're oversold on the hourly, the 4 hourly, not the 8 hourly, not the daily, but we are oversold on the weekly and the monthly. Okay, so from kind of like a big macro, it's looking good, and from a kind of low end micro movements, it's looking good, but not in the middle. The middle is kind of saying, we've got to come down a bit further, right? So if we bring up our stochastics here and we take a look at the 8 hour, you can see that the momentum is shifting downwards, right? And this is good. This basically is allowing us to think about resets. So I do think there's going to be a need to come on down a little bit further. My biggest concern really comes from these higher time frames, such as the 12 hour, the 16 hour, the 20 hour, and the daily. All of these are saying that there's a lot of momentum to shift to the downside. And we can't get too excited about thinking that we're going to be going and moving the price to the moon when, you know, we don't really have a lot of upward momentum on the 12 through to daily time frames, right? These are kind of pretty meaty time frames. Now the weekly is okay, it's down here at this low end, and we can be down here for a while yet. So I'm thinking there's going to be a bigger correction, but you know, the smaller time frames are looking pretty positive. So you know, I think we're going to see a lot of volatility here on XRP. Now, as I said, that 30-cent low is looking pretty good. As in, I don't think we've got the momentum to take us all the way down to 30 cent. I could be wrong, but I don't think we do. And instead, all we potentially could be looking at here is some kind of corrective structure that actually brings us down a little way. So we have an A wave, we then bounce up a little bit, probably find the resistance again, and then come back down, probably reaching the kind of 34 to the 30 cent range, somewhere in this kind of area here, mid 30s, right? And correct all of those kind of medium time frames, ready for the next bigger move to the upside, which again might just be something like this, where we actually have a bigger correction and we move up a bit. Now essentially, if I zoom out of all of this, we can of course still acknowledge that it's not like we're doing terribly too much. We are kind of just in this kind of sideways trade. Now, I do think that now we've had this low point at 30 cent over here. It's possible that that is, of course, the C wave structure of this one over here. So it's possible that we've done something like this over a period of time. It isn't overly impressive. It is just kind of like in a ranging market. If you zoom out far enough, right, you can see that there isn't terribly too much going on. If I bring this up into our daily time frame and zoom out, you can actually start to take stock of the kind of bigger picture here, and that is that we haven't really retested any of these kind of major movements just yet. Let's actually go ahead and just take that out of the way. What I will do is grab, in fact, I'm going to grab all of these ones here and just change these onto, take them off of the daily time frame, the weekly time frame, monthly time frame, and I'll take it off the ranges as well. I don't need it there. So we end up with this kind of structure. Now, the big takeaway on our kind of daily time frame is, where is our resistance? Well, our resistance is coming up here on this 200 EMA. Currently, the 200 EMA is at 42.08 cent on our daily chart. Okay, this is a major blocking point. You can kind of see that we danced with it a fair few times. We can come above it briefly, but if we can't keep it and confirm it as a support level, then unfortunately we are likely to break on down. Okay, you can see how we can kind of stay above this area, and then as soon as you lose it, you come down, and then we fight it. And when we confirm it as support, it's a good thing. We can kind of bounce from it, but when we lose it, it really does mean that we fall into these kind of traps. Now, the bigger thing to kind of keep an eye on is going to be the trend line. The trend line from this top up here all the way down to this low gives you one perspective that is possibly still highs of around the 50 cent range. But if we were to adjust this and think of this here as our high point, okay, up here in November 2021, and we were to start bringing our trend line down, well, then we start to get multiple touches, right? Let me go ahead and grab hold of our circle. So we start here, for example. We have another touch point just up here. We have another one just here. Let me grab that and move it over there. And another one just over here. Are we going to be coming up here to our 200 EMA and our trend line to the downside. This looks like we potentially are going to be up against a lot of resistance, and those meaty timeframes on that 12, 16, 20 and daily timeframe with a stochastic indicating downward momentum, is XRP actually going to be getting ready for another leg down? I don't think we'll be losing the 30 cent. I could be wrong. We shall see. I'm hoping that we aren't, but if we do, then there's going to be fantastic opportunities in that as well. Essentially, this looks like a pretty big reset at the moment, and it could take us down into new lower lows in this bear market under kind of the circumstances. So just kind of keep these things in mind. I don't think we're going to have to come down to those lows anytime soon, but keeping a close eye on these resistances are going to be absolutely critical. I'm going to leave this video right there though, guys. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.